Well, let me tell you something, brother. This might be the best OG Kush I've ever had. Ooh. Ooh, yeah. You just said a mouthful, brother. I'm higher than helicopter butt. Listen, though, Hulkster. Younglurch has been running his mouth on that podcast. Blaze the Bingo Hall podcast needs to show some respect to the veterans, brother. I say we run in there and show Younglurch and his guest just exactly who the OGs of this game are, What you gonna do, Blaze the Bingo Hall podcast, when the Macho Man and the Hulkster run wild on you? Ooh, yeah. Give me like 10 minutes, though, because I'm really, really stoned. Oh, yeah.
Welcome in for another episode of Blaze the Bingo Hall. Don't worry, Ace. I don't think Hulk Hogan and Macho Man are going to be doing any running on us today. But this is another special episode of Blaze the Bingo Hall. I am your host with the most, Younglurch. Today we have a very special guest, everyone. He is our youngest member to step into the Bingo Hall. He is Ace the Blaze Christian. Welcome in, Ace.
What up? How you doing?
Doing good, man. Feeling the effects of the Bingo Hall. You know what I'm saying? We're just trying to get things started in here. I'm glad you're able to make it over and step into it today with us. And sure. Like I said, youngest member to step in. You are 18, I believe, right? About to be 19.
Yeah, 18, about to be 19 next month. In
June. A young rising star on the making, everyone. If you guys haven't heard of Ace the Blaze Christian, please check him out. But he's going to step into the Bingo Hall with Lurch today, and we're going to go over some things about his career, how he got into wrestling, and where you're going to see him next. Let's go ahead and start it off. Like you said, you're 18 years old. Most people, when they get into the industry, start at 18. Now, right. You're a little bit of a unique case where you have your own backyard promotion. So what age did you actually start wrestling?
So whenever I tell people like how long I've been wrestling, I'm working on my third year on the indie scene or professional side. Technically my second year like full time, because like the first time I was kind of just like getting my feet wet and like doing like some shows, but like last year and this year I'm going.
You are,
But whenever I like first stepped into a real ring, that was 2017, so 8 years.
That's crazy.
8 years.
So you're 11 years old when you stepped into the ring?
Yeah,
about 10, 11?
Yep.
That's wild. Like I just seen a video that I guess it's one of the most popular videos you have on your channel. It's DBW, Domination Backyard Wrestling. For anyone who hasn't seen it, check it out on YouTube. Well, also, I'm going to bring that back up in a minute, though. But, I mean, it was like small child walking out to the ring to fight another grown man. And do you know the video I'm talking about? It's like you got like a red gear on, and the guy, they're cheering like bald spot.
I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah, it's over 100,000 views.
Yes,
it's our most viewed video on that channel, and I probably give too much credit to the pedophiles on that one because I didn't think about that.
So
bad, it's so bad.
I'm sure.
But
I'm sure there's probably a bunch of weird, creepy comments on there.
Yeah. All over the videos.
Yeah, that's like the same thing. Like on my TikTok, like when I put up like clips of at a show or something. If my son's in there, like sometimes I feel weird about posting it because obviously, like you said, there's a bunch of weirdos out there. But at the end of the day, it's like, what are you gonna do? People are gonna do what they do, and they're sickos are out there.
Right.
But so you are, you got into the business that young. You are a second generation wrestler. So is your dad one of the reasons why you wanted to get into the business, or was he wrestling? Was he already wrestling when you got into the business, or?
So whenever I first did my first indie shows or whatnot, my dad wasn't really doing indie wrestling. He had started with House of Pain years ago. And then I'm not sure what exactly happened, but it's just I think my dad just didn't have that passion and that drive to continue and to proceed with a possible professional career. So yeah, I mean, a lot of it was just him doing it with me, his brothers, his two brothers, two of our good friends. And yeah, that's pretty much what started DBW, was wrestling with his brothers and wrestling with two of our good friends. But as far as like actually getting into the indie scene, it was a mix of obviously my dad, because he's the one that helped me like train and all that good stuff. And it was actually funny because he was my first indie match. Like my first real independent match was against him, which is wild. But it was a mix of him, some guys in North Carolina, VTW, Aaron Jones, Ecstatic, Zach Daniels, which is the guy that I actually wrestled in that most viewed video that we were talking about.
Okay.
And then Tyler Aiken. So a mix of all those guys, and Jacob Bryan would be another one I'd name. And then just overall, everyone that I surround myself with prior to getting into the indie scene is who I would say, prep me up for that, because I take every moment with respect, and they took time to teach me and took time to wrestle with me and took time to
Invest
do
in
it
you.
with me. Exactly.
So your dad, he goes under the name Mr. Judgment. In case if there anybody out there watching knows Mr. Judgment, I'm sure that you're gonna have plenty of fans watching for Ace in this episode. How do you know how many times you wrestled your dad? I know you said he was your first match. Do you know how many times you wrestled him?
So one-on-one, so I wrestled him there. 2, 3. Are we talking like one-on-one, or just like
Just one-on-ones? Yeah, just
Okay.
like a one-on-one thing. Is it maybe too many times to count, or is it?
I'd probably say a good handful or two handfuls, but not too many times.
Not as much as you would probably, or I would probably think, or the
Yeah.
audience would probably think, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're located in Hagerstown, Maryland, right? Like
Yeah,
the western part of Maryland.
I'm technically in like Shippensburg, Pennsylvania,
Okay.
but I go up Shippensburg to Hagerstown because that's where my dad lives. So
That's what I was going to ask. I wasn't sure if I thought Pennsylvania, but I wasn't sure if you had located back like down to this way. But like that makes sense if you said your dad lives down this way. So
yeah, I used to be in Hagerstown, but I decided to move up to Pennsylvania whenever I graduated, because I was honestly like really struggling with a driver's license. Once I was like ending my final year of high school, and I knew that if I moved up to PA whenever I turned 18, I didn't have to go through all the schooling in Maryland, because I had my Maryland permit, but I would have to wait until October of that year to
they make
actually try out for my
really strict.
license. Yeah, and like they also have you like drive a certain amount of hours and take some certain school, but it's like in PA, you just get your permit, get your license.
Same thing here in West Virginia. I'm on the eastern panhandle of West Virginia, but I'm from Maryland. So I know how strict that they can be with their thing. And then same thing, like here in West Virginia, you just basically just go get it. You don't have to put in all that extra that Maryland requires. So I guess, obviously each state's their own. But so are you from PA? Is that correct?
Yeah, okay. I was born in Chambersburg, PA.
Okay. And so tell me about the name Ace the Blaze Christian. How did you come up with that name, and what does that name mean to you?
So the Blaze, that was originally like whenever I first started, that was my actual name. It was just the Blaze.
Just the Blaze.
And then so this is kind of a funny story. So whenever I was told that I was wrestling like for my first independent show, the promoter needed my name, and I was thinking about changing my name for a little bit. So I was just like, this is like a good opportunity to do that. And so like I can change it, but to me, it's just kind of hard to do it right now just because I want people to remember the name. But whenever I first thought of it, I was just like, I thought to myself, like, I want to try to be the best, one of the best. So I thought of Ace, because I always like playing cards. I'm actually starting to get into cards more. And so that's the first thing I thought was Ace. And then Christian, that came from my pop-up because he's a very heavy Christian. I'm starting to kind of lean towards that direction, but like not fully. I'm obviously a believer in God, but like I wouldn't really consider myself a Christian. I hope that doesn't, hurt anybody's feelings, because I know how people are, especially with this day and age, with like religion and politics and all that
or
stuff.
anything. People are easily offended by anything. So
Oh yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much how I got the name, is just kind of
I was going to ask about that, about the religious part of it, because I noticed in your dad's gimmick, like Mr. Judgment, and also he goes under the name Asher Christ, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, Ace Christian. I was like, there's got to be some sort of either religious background or ties to it at least.
Yeah, it's funny because I didn't even think about that part whenever I first came up with the name. And my dad, he was thinking about his character, like before he transitioned into this new Mr. Judgment character. He was always like a cocky, arrogant, big guy. And he wanted to do something different, and he thought to himself, like, what is the best way, or one of the best ways to like get heat and get hated? And that's religion. Like, a lot of people get sensitive with religion, and it's so sensitive in like some states, or like you can't, like, my dad probably can't wrestle in some churches if he wanted to, or at least he would have to kind of like tone down his gimmick a little bit. But
yeah, when you add religion and politics into wrestling, it hits some buttons sometimes with some of the fans, and they get a little rowdy, But hey, it is what it is. You gotta generate that heat, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So, I guess it would be safe to say that you've had access to a wrestling ring since an early age.
Right.
Do you currently have a ring, or do you have access to it, or?
So, when it comes to that, it's not set up full time, but it's set up on the weekends that we will record for DBW.
Okay.
So yeah, and then like the day before we actually record, that's when I get my training time in, or most of my training time. And then also whenever I go to VTW, same thing. They set up the day before, and I try to get some ring time the day before or day of, before they start recording. But yeah, I wish I had that kind of access, because my dad has his own ring. We're hoping to get that changed, like sooner rather than later, to get like a good building to keep the ring in and keep it set up. But
yeah, I was gonna ask, like, how often are you doing in-ring training? So you would say probably on the weekends, whenever you're.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's probably the most of the time that you're dedicated to wrestling, is the weekends, either booked on a show or, like you said, probably doing your DBW recordings.
Mm-hmm.
So how often do you train outside of the ring? Are you hitting the gym?
Oh yeah, I hit the gym pretty good. 4 days a week. Yeah, I got a pretty solid gym like workout for each of my days that I go. I definitely like to say my strong suit is my back. I'm not trying to like toot my own horn or anything.
Go ahead, do it, man.
My back is kind of like I'm not the biggest dude in the game, but
No, like, I mean, even since I first seen you definitely put on some mass, and you definitely bulked up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm trying to bump up the number. I'm at like a steady 150 right now. Last year I was like a steady 140, so we're getting somewhere. But I'm hoping to be like 170, 180. That's like the future goal. But however long that takes, I don't care. But as long as I'm going up.
Small gains, man. Small gains will get you there.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, that's, like I said, that's how when I discovered you. It was actually, I have the ticket right here, so I'm gonna break it down to you. It was at Spring Fusion 2, May 6th, 2023. Falling Waters, West Virginia.
Enterprise
at Rocky's Pizza.
Dang, he still has it? Yo, that's crazy.
So the next time I see you in person, my friend, I'm bringing this, and I gotta get the Ace Christian stamp of approval signature on there.
Bro, that's tough.
So so obviously I know you've been wrestling since you were 11. When that was so I had fell out of wrestling for a few years. My son, as you know, you've met him. He's a big fan of yours. He's real little. Yeah. That was his first show live.
Really?
So that was the first one that we took him to find out, hey, does he like it? Does he not like it? And we've basically been invested ever since.
That's
We started
awesome.
following you. We've been invested in you as one of the local guys that he likes, amongst others. He has like a little roster of his own that he likes. But you were one of the first guys. Like I have another like 11 by 14 thing over here that all the guys pretty much from that day signed. You were one of them.
Oh shoot.
But yeah, it was cool because like I heard like some of the guys talking, and I know that they were talking to you, and I kind of like just was, I guess, eavesdropping or picking up on what you guys were saying.
Yeah.
And I thought that they were saying like that was your debut or something. Was that one of your debuts, or
It
is
was
that
it was it was my debut for that company.
Okay.
Since it was in West Virginia, I believe I was 17 at that time. I had to have been. Yeah, I was 17 at that time. Yeah, 17. I almost said 16, but no. I made my debut when I was 17, so it had to have been when I was 17. But yeah, that was my debut for that company because they normally run up in PA. They currently run up in PA right
Mhm.
now. And yeah, that was my first match there because they were running in West Virginia, and West Virginia's cool as shit when it comes to wrestling.
Yeah, they don't
Um,
care.
yeah, it's all like Maryland, freaking
Oh
strict
yeah,
on wrestling, strict on
super strict.
license, strict on all of that.
Yep.
But
Yep.
yeah, that's awesome though. I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
Man,
man. Yeah, we've been following you since back then, and like I said, that was his first show, and basically that's what kind of started it all for me getting back into it, and like now I'm
Okay.
hooked again like a kid, and just seeing his love and passion for it, that's what's got it going back for
That's
me
awesome.
again. So
I'm
like I said,
glad that I'm glad that I can help contribute to that for
yeah,
real.
man, you're one of his guys, man. So every time he sees you on the card, we try to make it there for sure.
Appreciate that.
But so yeah, so that was your debut for that company. Also want to say shout out to Vinny DeCola at Falling Waters, Rocky's Pizza. He is the pizza man. He is the pizza man with the plan. He is the shit. But yeah, so how did you discover pro wrestling? Was it was it your dad that helped you get into it? Did you
Oh, yeah.
find your love for it on your own, or I'm sure there was a part of it where it clicked for you personally too, but
So it really came from my dad because he just always grew up doing it. No matter how old he was, whenever he was doing it. I guess it was just kind of on the TV, and it's just what I'd watch. I mean, I never really grew up with a lot of cable TV. But if we did have that at some points, that's what would be on, is either Raw or mostly I never really watched the smaller shows. I always watched the bigger shows growing up. But I remember like some like vague, some clear memories of like watching like my favorite wrestler like growing up as a child was The Miz. Like I have a
wow.
video of me singing The Miz's song. Like it was crazy. And whenever I don't remember what WrestleMania it was, but it was the Mania where Triple H faced The Undertaker in that Hell in a Cell with
Okay.
Shawn Michaels. I was rooting for Triple H, and whenever Triple H lost, I cried. I remember that. I was so upset. I don't know why I was such a heel guy. I was never like, I don't know why I was so like in favor of the heels as a kid. But hey, I'm not gonna question it. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much what got me into it. I just kind of just watched it, and we started, doing it on I started like on the trampoline with my two good friends, me and my dad's two good friends, and we just did that on trampoline. The trampoline broke, but we made things work with the trampoline. With the broken trampoline, we put padding under like the base of the trampoline. We put padding under it, and that's what we used. And then we made a homemade ring, and then we got our own ring. So that was pretty much, the life story of the journey of my
So
wrestling.
Miz and Triple H, they were one of your go-to guys. They were some of your go-to guys that you
Yeah,
liked.
yeah, but currently my go-to is Finn Balor. Finn Balor
Okay.
is my current favorite.
Well, let's bring up let's get back onto your backyard promotion. So DBW is your promotion. That's
Right.
Domination Backyard Wrestling. I'm going to go ahead and bring this up because I seen you just posted this on your Facebook the other day. These are the analytics from his page, everybody on YouTube. So let's go ahead and take a look at this bad boy. 4,000 subscribers, almost 1 million views, almost 14,000 likes. That's pretty wild for a backyard wrestling promotion that's basically primarily just YouTube is your outlet, right? That's your platform.
Right. Yeah. So what I will say about that is, like, with us getting the building, I wouldn't necessarily call it backyard anymore. I would call it hybrid. That's what one of my good friends, Van Hansen, I'm sure you know him.
I know. Yep.
He always refers to it as hybrid, which I can definitely agree with that. It's just like, it's not backyard, it's not indie, it's just
It's definitely a
like,
step above backyard, like you said.
Yeah.
A hybrid would be the best way to describe it.
but
Because
I will
backyard is just like nothing, and you're in the street, you're in the
right,
backyard
right.
with a mattress or something.
Yeah. But what I will say about that is, at least in my goal for within the company, because I grew up in the company, so I have big feelings for that company. I really, really, really want it to get to a point where we're running live shows and selling tickets and all that good stuff, because I know that we can do it, and my dad knows that we can do it, and our guys know that they can do it. So I'm hoping, like, don't quote me on this, but I'm hoping next year, or if not sometime later that year, or maybe even a year later, hopefully sooner rather than later.
It's a good goal. Hey, you got to set goals to have something to work towards, and hey, if you guys have done it enough times to where your formula, what works amongst your unit, your team.
Right.
If you're able to get that platform to do it at a bigger scale, I think you guys will knock it out the park, and all that'll do is just draw more eyeballs to your channel anyway. And
yeah, for sure,
allow it to grow. I mean, look what you've done just on YouTube. So if you're able to actually put that in person and, have word of mouth also gain you more popularity,
right?
That's the secret right there. You know what I mean? So
yeah, for sure.
I'm looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, me too.
And so right now you guys have weekly episodes, right?
Yeah, it's so my dad has his talk show podcast, whatever you want to call it, on Wednesdays. And then we have the big pay-per-views on mostly Saturdays or Sundays, or sometime during the weekend. I know that the next one, I believe, is coming out May 24th, I believe. Yeah, that's when I think the next one is. But we already have one released. I think that was released last weekend. I'm not sure the statistics on that. I think it has a couple hundred views already, but
I'm sure you have a dedicated following that you probably hear from on a weekly basis or whatever, that it's like, hey, they're probably constantly checking in with you guys, and you might not even know these people. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Yeah. And so I also seen on that page, you did a stunt where I believe it was you ran off the roof and jumped into the ring.
Oh, so that that was VTW. That was VTW.
Okay. And you said that's in North Carolina, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
That's in North Carolina. But yeah, I mean, that was the first time I was there. I don't even know, like 2021, I think, was the last time I was there. Prior to that, but yeah, I mean, I kind of just had to make a good first impression. So what better way to do it than just jump
run off the roof? You know what I mean? Anybody that goes onto the channel, definitely check that clip out. It's pretty nuts.
Hey, and I had long hair and everything. That was bad.
That's why when I first watched it, I was like, okay, somebody just jumped off the roof. But then when I rewatched it, I heard him say Ace, and I'm like, oh, that is him. Like, he just has long hair, like you said.
Yeah.
So do you do your own production and editing for DBW, or is that more like fall on your dad, or is it a cohesive unit of you guys?
That's a different guy. That's definitely not me.
Okay.
I'm just a talent. And I do help out a little bit with the corporate team and planning stuff out together. hopefully, one of these days I can, carry on the legacy, you know what I mean, and ownership and all that stuff. But I'm not gonna get into all that because we ain't at that point. We here right now. But
Yeah, that's
yeah,
what's kind of was I was going to dabble into next was like, do you wear multiple hats behind the scene, or like you said, you're just more of talent and you come there to do your thing and leave the
I
rest up to.
I will say, I do definitely help a good like I will say like I'm definitely a good bit in like the ring crew,
Mhm.
like setting up and loading up the U-Haul and all that good stuff. Um, and obviously, like I said, trying to help plan stuff for future goals and for storylines. But I like whenever I know I'm wrestling, it's like I'm, you know what I mean. I'm there to wrestle,
You're locked in, yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like on show days, like I mean, yeah, like I help set up and stuff like that, but it's like this is the boring part. Like I'm ready to fucking go. You know
You
what
go
I
out there
mean?
perform. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but
That's got to be fun, especially when, like I said before, it's a close team, and you guys are a unit, and you guys know what it takes to make things work, and yeah, like you said, you're just probably antsy to get out there and perform and
oh yeah,
put on
for
a
sure.
banger match.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think I know talent. I think that you're someone that if you stay consistent, that you're going to be a star, bro. I mean, I've like I said, I've been watching you for a few years, and I think I'm also someone that's pretty keen to tell when someone loves the business, and you're for sure someone that I have no doubt about saying that you love this business. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would agree. I appreciate that first of all. But yeah, I mean, I have a devil on my shoulder, and he has told me, whenever I was first starting that, I was gonna hate the business, and because it had happened to him, it had happened to his crew, and it's a very unfortunate story on their end. But I will say I've only had really one. I wouldn't say bad encounter, but just like not a good encounter.
Mhm.
But other than that, and it wasn't really bad enough to where I was like questioning like whether I wanted to keep doing it or not, or it didn't ruin my love for it. But other than that, I've been going. Like I'm ready to go. Like I
That's
like
what I'm
I, I
saying, man.
I'm just getting started. And I've like a lot of people, say that, they're the future. And, I try to be humble with like my position and where I'm at. Cause obviously me, along with like 0% of wrestlers in the wrestling world aren't owed anything within the business. Like not a dime.
You got to go out there and
But,
take it.
like I've seen a lot of people say that they're the future and all that stuff. And like I said, I'm humble of my position, but I don't like to I don't like to brag at all because I've been told I've had an ego before. And it's like, I don't like that because, I know how appreciative I am and, how respectful I am of not only this business, but with the people around me. Like, I don't take anything for granted at all. Like, whether it's the wrestling show, whether it's the locker room, like, especially the locker room, like, the locker room just depending on where it's at, like, especially WDWA, like,
Yeah,
they opened their arms for me and, like, their guys back there, and it was awesome. But I just like to prove it. That's all it is. It's just I like to prove, the talent that I can bring to a show. And I just try to evolve and to continue to market myself and to continue to establish the name Ace Christian, not only within the area but within the business.
yeah. I mean, that's a great answer. I mean, like you said, and continuing to invest in your name and your brand. Um, and I relate to that. Like growing up playing sports, even now in life with work and things like that. Like I'm not someone that tends to be cocky. I can be cocky when I want to be,
Right.
but I like to kind of just let my work prove itself. And
Exactly.
that's kind of like what I'm hearing from you. You just I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna put on a banger, I'm gonna do my thing, and let it speak for itself. And
Right. And
sometimes that's the only thing you can do because
yeah,
nobody can say anything. What are they gonna say?
yeah, exactly. But yeah, like going on to that point, like it's gone to the point where like recently I've talked to a company in Florida, and I'm trying to market myself. I'm trying to get booked on their show. And travel is a bit of an issue, which I totally understand that, and that's the thing. Like, if it's too far or if it's too much, like I treat it like it's a business. I've told a promoter that before.
It is.
Whenever like I sent them my resume and my match links and all that good stuff, and they were just like, "You're very informative," but it's like this is like a job application. But I was talking to a company in Florida, and they told me that they've heard about me before. A company in Florida, and I'm all the way up in PA, and it's like I don't know who told them about me,
That's awesome.
but I mean, I appreciate whoever that might be. Thank you, I appreciate it, but it's just I was not expecting that. It's like
I mean, I think you're right. You're right on that cusp, bro. Like you are right there. You've put in enough time, and I think your things are going to start clicking for you. They're going to start clicking for you, and it's going to start coming to you fast. And then before you know it, you're going to be like, "Oh man, look at the leap that I just made, just from when I was 18 to now being 19 or 20 or whatever it is." It's going to happen for you fast, and I believe that. And like you said, to bring up WDWA, they are the first local promotion to me after that show that I told you about that I found that they're literally very close to me, like right down the street.
Oh,
And
really? Okay.
yeah, and so that's why we try to catch them. They run almost every 2 weeks. We try to go every 2 weeks if we can. We'll be going to the upcoming show tomorrow. I know this episode won't come out until after that, but the Code Red that's coming up will be there. And yeah, man, I think that it's awesome. We missed your debut show. I wanted to make it. Something had came up. But when I had seen that you were wrestling Samwell Thompson, I'm going to go ahead and bring this up. That's a huge step in competition.
Oh, yeah,
that's
for
a
sure.
huge step in competition because this guy's known all throughout the circuit, at least in our area. I mean, he's wrestled CZW a bunch of times.
Yeah.
He's with Valerie Verman, who's also pretty well known. So tell me about when you heard, did you find, how long before did you find out that you were wrestling Samwell, or did you find out that day?
So I found out, I think like the day they announced it, that I was facing him, and I never heard of him.
Really?
I will say I did know, I lie. I did know that he was the longest reigning light heavyweight champion. So that alone spoke volumes to me that they're bringing me in and putting me up against a guy that they put up on a pedestal.
You got to prove
like
it.
I think he's either one of, if not the longest reigning champion. And it's like I was shocked. And then I researched him a little more, and I saw that he was wrestling CZW, and I'm just like, and mind you, whenever I faced him, prior to that, like either like a week or two before that, he faced Brian Kendrick. And I'm just like,
what?
Up
in PA,
yeah, like it was crazy, but not. I enjoy that match so much. And even like that same show, like he had us opening it. And it's my debut, and I'm just like, this guy really like
Gavin
really
you next. So what
really
was
put the ball in my court on that one.
What was going through your head? Were you nervous?
Oh yeah, I was definitely nervous.
Probably a mix of excitement too, right?
Oh yeah, I was very excited. I was a little nervous, and I don't normally really get nervous anymore, which is kind of shocking to me because whenever I was first starting, like it was rough.
Petrified.
Yeah. But nah, like the reason why I was so nervous that time was, just because, like I said, the guy that Samwell Thompson is. But also like that day was really a full circle moment for me too, because I was back in the building where I made my first independent match debut.
Okay.
That was the same venue. And my dad had wrestled with WDWA like years ago, and it was only like one time. But even still, like I'm wrestling at a company that my dad worked at years ago, and
that's
like,
awesome.
Damn, like I really thought about it a lot that day. But nah, and
that's a lot of emotions.
Yeah, and I think me and Sam like tore the house down, and set a good tone to start that show. And I will say, a lot of people didn't like what I had to do. A lot of people didn't appreciate, what I was doing whenever I first got in. Like as far as the fans, like they were really getting behind Sam, and I was just like, that's fine.
So I
But
think that isn't anything towards you. I think
yeah,
that the type of audience that they have, they're very close to the people that are their favorites or the ones that are always there. So when
yeah,
a new person comes in, it's like, they kind of sit back and like, let me see, you know what I mean?
right.
But I
And
think now you're starting to hit your stride with them, and
oh
people
yeah,
are like your last show that you were just at, where you were in the tag team match, the
yeah,
the trios with
hmm
Samwell and Sean Phoenix.
yeah.
You got a nice little pop when you came out.
Oh yeah, and I was like, because some of my friends were there that day, and it was like I didn't hear how loud it was until I
It was loud.
watched the tape back, and I was just like, okay, like whenever I was telling my one friend this, I was like, whenever I first came to the WDWA, it was like, this kid's all right, and then my second time I was there, which is that Fatal 4-Way,
Mhm.
we're starting to get somewhere with the people. But the tag match that I
I was
just
at that
did,
one too, the Fatal 4-Way. Yep.
it was great. Like
Yeah.
I love the progress that I'm
I
taking
could
with the
tell you
people.
were out there having fun, because even when
I
you hit
had
like your hot tag and you came in, you did like the little crotch chop to the other team. I was like, look at him out there doing this thing. And I seen like you and Sean and Sam over there just laughing at each other. I was like, you're coming into your stride, man. I can see it.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I have a lot of fun at WDWA, man. Like I appreciate that place so much because that's my first like home independent company. Like I always like to say my home companies are DBW and BTW, but like that's because I started from the bottom up with them. But like WDWA, it's like my first like home independent company, like professional company. It's like and I see like how much they're evolving, and I'm just so blessed that I'm able to be on that journey and be able to progress with them.
Yeah.
And I'm glad, it's crazy that you saw that I was having fun because I don't know if I already said this, but I had a lot of fun that match.
Hey man, like I told you, I've been around the business for a long time, so like I look at it through a different lens and a perspective than just an average fan sitting there trying to have fun. Like I'm having fun, but like I'm looking for other things too. You know what I mean? And I can see that, like you said, the Fatal 4-Way. It was okay. He's starting to build a little bit, but this last match, it was like okay, now you're starting to let loose a little bit. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah,
So that's
yeah,
good,
for
because
sure.
the more of that, the more your personality is going to show, the more your people are going to connect with you, the more you're going to get over, and the more you're going to get pushed. So
Yeah,
keep doing what you're doing.
appreciate that. And I'll speak on the personality part too. I will say I've had a lot of comments about my character. I will admit that's kind of like my weak part is, I know I have the in-ring part down. But I will say the character is a little bit of a struggle right now because, you see all these cool characters like,
Mhm.
oh shoot, like, Sam, like he doesn't have like a character, like he doesn't have like an out of world character, but it's just like, he says pretty always wins,
Swag.
and it's
It's
like
got swag.
it's exactly. CEO, it's simple rich character, but he like does well with it. Cake Boss Victor Jones, like that is very unique, and again swagger, but like a different unique of swagger. And that's what I want to bring is like my own swagger. And like whenever I say like the journey, it's like this is what I like to explain to people. It's like a lot of people will say like they're on a journey, or they're on a path to whatever they're doing, and that's fine, that's good. But I put like I want to make sure like the journey is like the journey. Like I want it to mean like what is the true definition of a journey? The journey, because like you're gonna have a lot of walls. You're gonna have to overcome boundaries. You're gonna overcome a lot of obstacles. But in the end, it'll be all worth it. No matter what path I take or wherever I go, it's like the journey always comes into one direction, and that's up.
And I also think that it's a way of allowing your fans and the audience to get in with you on that journey and watch that journey, like you said, grow and then be a part of it with you.
And that's what I want out of that is like I can't do this by myself. Like I this is like a really good saying. I think it's pretty good. But you know, I always preach that like without the people, like there is no Ace Christian. Like if there is no reaction, whether it's good or bad, Ace Christian wouldn't be rising.
We've seen that during COVID times. You know what I mean? How much that affected pro wrestling when it takes the audience out of it. When there's no one to invest and be there, it's like a bizarro thing to watch almost. Like
exactly,
and like you said, you're not able to feed off of them.
Yeah, and like I did a Dijak seminar, and that's something like he preached about was like, you know, he said that it's like harder, just as hard, if not harder, to wrestle in front of no people versus like 10,000 people.
I literally listened to a podcast yesterday. I'm a big Dutch Mantel fan. And he said, would you rather have 10,000 fans paying $1 or one fan paying $10,000? And they'd rather have 10,000 fans paying $1 because that one fan that you would have to work for is way harder than a whole crowd full of 10,000 people.
Right.
Because that small knit local, 15 people, 10 people, it's harder sometimes to get over for them than it is in a larger crowd that you might be able to kind of hide under the radar a little bit,
Exactly. And a crowd is like a big part of the match because it like brings like the background energy up and like it gets like it brings excitement to the match. But
even when there's those dead moments, I always try to like get something going or yell something out just to try to because just one little thing, it's like, come on, like even if I'm not a fan of this wrestler, like come on, let's get like for the baby face, let's get it going, like come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that you noticed as well about like me trying to like bring people along with me on this journey. And so, like I said, it wouldn't be possible without anyone, like whether it be as little as sharing a locker room with them. They probably, some of those guys probably don't even remember me, but that's okay because I am glad and I'm humbled
Grateful
to share a locker room with those guys. And WDWA has really stepped up my game, to be honest with you. Because like I have not been disappointed once in my performance within WDWA, and I think that company brings out a different animal in me, and I'd say that in a good way. But yeah, they have amazing talent there. I can't.
Did Samwell have any words of advice for you after that match that you can remember at all?
I wouldn't.
If you want to share it, you don't have to share it if it was something personal.
No, it's good. I wouldn't say he really gave me advice. I will say, like, I was a little, I wouldn't say I was down after that, but it was like, I know I could have done better because I did, like, I think I messed up, like, one or two times during that. And there was, like, a little bit of a miscommunication part on my end towards the end. But, I mean, obviously the crowd enjoyed it. They didn't notice it, so that's cool. But, I mean, I was just like, I wish I would have, like, what I kept telling myself, and I even told Sam this, I was just like, damn, like, you carried me. Like, I wish I could hang. And Sam was like, you hung. Like, you could hang. And, even after the match, he told me, like, this is where the best come to wrestle. And, like, I don't know if he realizes this, but, like, I took that. I took that I didn't take that lightly. Like I said, like every little moment matters to me. And, whenever he told me that, it was like, okay, now that he told me that, it's like, now I got to prove from there that I not only deserve to stay, but that I can belong here. And I think I've done that because, Gavin's been bringing me back more. And I really do see good things happening.
I think it was probably a little bit of being a little bit too much in your own head. Your emotions were going too much, and now, like I said, that I can see you're hitting your stride. You've let that go, and that's why it's starting to come through.
Oh yeah,
but yeah,
sure.
I think that what they're doing over there is amazing, and they're growing and continuing to grow, and I'm looking forward to your journey there. No pun intended.
Yeah, hey, all the pun intended, baby. Let's go.
I wanted to pivot here, which this is also a unique story. So recently you were booked to go out to Iowa, and you had a match with a wrestler that discovered you from YouTube. Is that correct?
Yes.
I'm going to go ahead and bring this picture up.
Yep.
So here you are. And who is this gentleman that you're with? Because I'm not familiar with him. I just know vaguely of the story. So I'll allow you to go ahead and break down the inner workings of how this came about.
All right. So that guy that'd be my right. But the guy on the left, on our left.
All right, yeah.
His name is Thomas McEntee. And he met me through DBW. Like, he saw my stuff in DBW. And I think he got my Facebook, or I think it was Facebook. Yeah, he got my Facebook, and he, we just chopped it up, and he wanted to call me, and I was just like, sure, let's go. And he was doing backyard stuff at that time too. But it was like, he told me, like, straight up, like, and I'm not putting words in his mouth. Like, you can ask the man yourself. Like, he told me, and mind you, I was only like 12, 13 whenever he told me this. Like, this is whenever I wasn't shit. He told me that I was his idol. It was because that, I was also a smaller wrestler, like, not only physically, but like just starting to like get my feet wet, but like I was doing it at like a pretty solid level for me being the age that I was. And that's what he told me. And it's just like, damn, like, that's crazy.
So is he around? Is he around the same age as you?
Yeah, I think he's 20 right now. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, he's about the same age as me. But yeah, like, he was a big super fan of mine. Like, he even, like, for my birthday, like probably like the second year after he knew me, like my first birthday or whatever. I actually have it with me right now. Cool. So like back whenever like my name was just the Blaze, like, he made me a custom made DBW hoodie. Oh, dude, this came in clutch.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, like, got me that, you know.
That's awesome when you have supporters like that. Like, you, like over in Iowa, like you said, you're trying to get down into Florida, and then you have fans over in Iowa that you would never expect. That's from your platform on YouTube that's spreading your word. That it's like, it's mind blowing, isn't it? Like, that
I know,
you have
dude.
fans all over.
Yeah, bro, it was awesome. That was one of my favorite matches too that I've done this year, and it's like, if you get the chance, please watch it. But yeah, like, obviously, it was completely different area. Like, there's new areas, but like, this is a completely different area. Like, I'm in the freaking Midwest right now.
Yeah.
But oh yeah, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, but like, whenever I was there, and it was like I was doing the match, and Thomas was getting down, like, he was getting heat on me, and he's a good guy. And we had the match and all that good stuff. And during his heat, like, the crowd was chanting my name, and it was like, I'm getting beat up, and they're chanting me, like, and I wasn't expecting them to know me. And then, like, by the end of the match, like, the match got a big pop, and I saw a little girl in the front row that was, kind of like, talking about me, you know what I mean? But I'm gonna leave it at that. But
there you go.
It just left the name, I sold shirts for the first time there, and it was like, I wasn't expecting to sell shit, especially shirts. Like, shirts are tough to sell.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if I gotta lower down the price or what, but yeah, it is tough. But that's how it is. But
yeah, that's pretty awesome. Like I said, and so how was that match? It was a good match for you guys.
Yes, I really enjoyed it. Like I said, one of my favorite matches of the year so far. And I believe I'm set to go back there in July and November this year.
Nice.
So, hey, maybe I run it back with Thomas. Maybe I face someone else out there. I actually had, speaking of that, I had someone else. His name is Felix Jones, and he's like a year or two younger than me. Yeah, about a year or two younger than me. And like, he came up to me, and he was like, he also saw some of my DBW stuff, and he said that was really good and all that stuff. So, hey, maybe I run it with him.
There you
go.
never
know. You never know.
Whoever wants it, right? Whoever wants
exactly. Whoever wants it, whoever wants to, pay to see the Blaze Ace Christian, get a little
so
snacky,
I want to pivot here to, I guess this would be under Voltage Wrestling, which is primarily out of Hagerstown, Maryland, Boonesboro area. I believe, did this match already happen or is it upcoming? It's a match where you're going against Gavin Miller, who is also a second generation wrestler. His father is Shane Malice, for anybody who doesn't know. Has that match already taken place and it was recorded, or is it upcoming? So it's already taken place.
It's already recorded, and I believe it already posted up on YouTube. So if you want to go watch that too, you want to go ahead.
So I got to see him at the last WDWA show.
Right.
I guess he made was that his debut there? I would assume.
I believe so.
Okay. Is he around the same age as you? Do you know?
Yeah, he's 18.
Okay. That's what I was going to say. So you guys have a lot of similarities, both second generation, both getting to wrestle each other. Is there any suggestions that you would give to someone like him, or maybe not him particularly, but like
I was about to say, like, so like, you mean just like, as far
as what you guys have to have a lot of things to relate on, I would assume. Maybe you haven't had those conversations, but like I said, having another match against another second generation around the same age, that's got to be like you guys got to have a lot of like the same, going through the same things, I guess is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah. I would say I never hard hitter right here. I've never been asked that before.
Hey man, this is how we blaze it at the bingo hall, baby.
Hey, no pun intended. No pun intended. The first thing that I would say off the top of my head is try not to focus on filling the shoes of the people that came up before you, like your
especially your father, yeah.
But to just build your own dynasty, and at the end of your career, it's like, maybe people see that you built a better career for yourself by just being who you are, instead of trying to do the same thing as your dad or whatever. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of, I wouldn't say I'm copying my dad in any way right now. But eventually, I think it'll be cool whenever a dad eventually retires, that I can, steal his Judgment Slam move. I think that would be a good, like, passing down
the torch.
But yeah, a little bit, yeah. That's kind of what I want to do with like all the guys though, that like have like big parts, that have had big parts of involvement in my career. Is like, I want to be able to carry their legacy by getting the honor of having one of their moves and
taking a little bit from each one of them.
Yeah, exactly. And it sounds a little corny to say that, but it is what it is.
No, that's actually pretty cool, because it's almost like you're continuing to evolve, and once you hit your final evolution, once all those guys have passed everything down to you, you'll be in your final form, and then you'll be, who knows where you'll be at, man. Because like I said, I think the ceiling is it's only as high as you want to make it. You know what I mean? Because you're on your way, bro. So like I said, just continue doing what you're doing and stay consistent.
Appreciate that. And that's another thing I'll bring up. You brought up about like other people, like people before me. It's like, I also, not only obviously I do it for the people that are there. That's an easy answer. But the more complex answer is, I do it for the fallen soldiers of the sport, I like to call them. And what that means is, like, people that either cannot physically do it anymore or don't want to do it. And it's like, that's like where my dad was, and like that's how Aaron Jones was. That's the guy that I was talking about that had like bad experiences with independent wrestling. Him, Ecstatic, Tyler Aiken, all those guys, like those are like, they're obviously
it sounds like it kind of fuels you. That kind of fuels you in a way to not carry on their, say, letdowns, but a way to show like you're not going to let that kind of stuff stop you. You're not going to let that get in the way of what you're trying to accomplish.
Exactly. And like one of the guys, Zach Daniels, I had faced him recently, like December of last year, and I had won the VTW World Heavyweight title. And after, like, whenever I was in the ring, like after I beat him, like he had told me, he was just like, it wasn't just the title that I passed to you. It was, my love for wrestling, and that really hit me. And that's what I think set the tone for doing this for the fallen soldiers of this sport. And it's like people, like I said, people that cannot do it or just don't want to go through the downs of independent wrestling. It's like that's what fuels me. That's what really fuels me, because if or when I can say that I've made it, that's who I want it to be for. I want it to be for the people that had trust in me and had faith in me to be able to go and do it.
That's awesome. That's definitely something that's going to keep that fire burning inside you. You know what I mean? Because there's so many of those types of people within this industry, and if you're carrying that, that's, like I said, that's a fire that's going to continue to burn, man.
Yeah.
Let me take it to a little bit of a lighter incident or lighter part here, kind of a funny part.
Okay.
Have you ever wrestled a comedic wrestler, or have you thought about wrestling a comedic wrestler?
I've wrestled a comedic wrestler.
Okay.
So my one friend's gonna crack up at this. So the wrestler name was Sneaky Pete. And it really, like, the character was just it's so bad, but it's hilarious. It's like he even has his own little faction with just like these mass jobbers, and
Okay.
he calls it the Pete's Flock. But yeah, like he has this fucking cheap ass mask that like looks like it's just like going up like right to his face, and it's just like very tight. And he comes out with this cape, and he just comes out with this voice, and it's just, oh, dude, I can't. But yeah.
I had one in mind for you. If you ever get a chance to wrestle him, I think it would be a good one for you. It's Luigi Primo. Have you seen him?
I never heard of him, actually.
Luigi Primo, he's a pizza man. He has like the pizza dough in the ring, and he's like throwing the pizza dough in between his legs.
I think I know what you're talking about.
He's been on AEW before.
Really?
A couple times. Yeah. He did a few things with them. Yeah.
I think my sister's boyfriend actually sent me an Instagram reel of
him.
That guy. Yeah.
Yeah. He's I've seen him also do stuff with JCW too. Jungle and Championship Wrestling.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's done a few things with them. Are there any matches that you're gunning for in 2025? Is there anybody on your list that you're looking to get a match with? I have two personal favorites not personal favorites, but two guys that I think that would go well with you, and you guys would have a banger match.
All right, I'm interested to hear what you have to say.
Okay.
But I want that to wait, because
okay.
I'm intrigued on that. So like dream matches. We talking like just locally, like realistically?
Yeah. So let's do locally, and then give me like a bucket list of like, somebody that's big.
Okay. So like indie wrestling that I would want on my bucket list. That's tough. I'd probably, and I'm gonna try to do my best to like say names that I've never actually faced before. So I'll say Just Jay.
Okay.
Just Jay.
That would be a good one.
Let's see here. Who else would I want to face him? Damn. That's man. If I had like the chance to just like write it down, I know I would. I would love to face Ryo again.
Okay.
1-on-1. I'd love to face him again.
Where did you fight him at Voltage, or where did you wrestle him at?
He was in that Fatal 4-Way match.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Yep.
So Just Jay, Ryo. I'll try to get like one more. Gosh, it's tough. I got one. Anton Nathan.
Hey, shout out Anton.
Yes, sir.
You,
dude. So I don't mean to go back on this, but going back to like opening arms, like he was actually the one that refed my match.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
That was the first time I met him. And then whenever I went to WDWA, I knew he was going to be there, and I was just like, I started talking to him beforehand, and then I was talking to him at that show. And me, him, and Van Hansen, we all were like, dude, we're gonna go to Sheets after this show. And we all went to Sheets. We all sat in the car. We just talked shit, and it was great.
That's awesome, man.
I really enjoyed that day. Just the match, the debut, the hangout after. It was all great. But so yeah, those are the top indie wrestlers I'd face. I'm sure there's probably a couple more I'd add on, but those are just off the top of my head. Eventual dream opponents, like big names. I would say Will Ospreay.
Oof.
I would say Kenny Omega and Finn Balor.
Fire. Those would all be fire matches. That's right up your alley.
Oh yeah.
So I'm gonna say my two, but I had two written down, but I got a third one on top of my head. But it might not be him, but someone relatively like him. So first one I'm gonna say is the guy with the supply, Ty Awesome. Have you locked up with him before?
Ooh, I never have. I've never even met him. Hopefully I'll meet him someday. I should be able to share a lot.
I think you guys are always like on opposite shows of WDWA. Like whenever you're not there, he's there. Whenever he's there, you're not there. So it must just be just a coincidence.
That would be tough. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I can see that one being a banger.
I've seen him like all over the place though. Like I've seen him on 1CW a lot. Like I know he's going to NWA soon. So that's tough.
that's coming up. I know him and Sean Carlson. They just won the tag titles. They're called the Cloud9 Cowboys. I'm like infatuated with that name. That's a great name.
Yeah, that's tough.
But yeah, like you said, they're going to be at the Crockett Cup coming up on the 17th, I believe. I was going to go to that, but I actually already have tickets to GCW Maryland, so I'm going to be going to GCW Maryland.
That's
Ruckus is taking on Effie for the title, and Ruckus is like a Baltimore guy, hometown favorite, so I got to go there and hold it down for him.
Yeah.
The other guy who I think that would be an amazing match would be Marcus Mathers.
Marcus. Oh man. Oh, I'm sorry I laughed at that. It's just I have a funny story about that, but I'll kind of keep that down right now.
Yeah, you could,
because I don't want to ruffle some feathers, but I would love to face him. I would love to face him.
Yeah, I got the chance to watch him wrestle live when so I went to my first GCW show last month in Philly. It was the same day as AEW Dynasty. So we went to GCW Philly and Dynasty all on the same day. It was a long, long day. But I got to watch him wrestle for the first time. He's actually WWID'd right now. And he put on a banger. I think that his style would be a hell of a match for you guys. Do
you really think that like we could actually face someday? Like I know he's on WWID, but it's like I don't really see.
Well, here's the thing with WWID. Like they don't control anything to do with their bookings, or they have no say so on their creative on what happens. So like if he gets booked on GCW or something like that, you know what I mean? Like he can lose to whoever. It doesn't matter. So it's not like he has to be protected. So he can wrestle wherever. So I mean, what's to say that someone wouldn't book him and book you? You know what I mean? Like shit can happen, man. You put it out there into the ether, and that's what we're doing right here on the bingo hall. We're putting it out there into the ether. So if Marcus Mathers wants a piece of Ace Christian, he knows where to holler. You know what I'm saying,
bro? No, the reason I say that is just because, like I said, WDWA is like the big one, and it's like I know like they brought in Grimm, and even Gavin Jackson. He posted a teaser of
Fusion Thunder Liger, right?
Yes.
I was gonna ask him about it. I was like, is this happening or what? Like, or bro, what's happening here?
Hear me out.
Yeah, shoot your shot, bro. Shoot your shot. Your shot, bro.
But nah, yeah. I mean, I'm hopeful that I can, face either one of those two guys one of these days, but I would just leave it at that.
So here's the third one. The third one, I would say Sean Carlson or someone like that, of like a bigger guy. And this is my own fantasy book, and I'm just putting it out there because I don't give a shit.
Hey, Blaze the Bingo Hall Wrestling, baby.
Yeah, hey, it's going to come to fruition one day. But I would book you against a big guy like that or bigger. And no offense to you, but to like get you more sympathy and more of that baby face pop and heat, I want them just to annihilate you and beat the shit out of you.
Damn,
And,
okay, that's crazy.
but the thing is, it's like a way of like, your physique and a big guy just manhandling you and just like not giving you anything the whole entire time. And then maybe, you find a way to win there at the end with like a schoolboy or something like that. And then the fucking crowd goes crazy. I think something like that, an angle where you get beat down to where it's like you're getting nothing. They're like, man, this guy, what is happening here? And you somehow pull it off in the end. Obviously, these type of matches happen all the time. But I think that would be something for you, especially going into like, say, like maybe a new promotion and they don't know who you are. It's a good way for you to get sympathy if you are the baby face in that particular match or whatever. That's just me. Sure. I'm just talking shit.
I can agree on that. Yeah, and I agree that you are talking shit against me. Trying to say, but no, I agree. I agree with you.
No, but I'm like I said, I'm looking at it as a way of trying to put you over. I'm trying to get people to connect to you in a way of like, we don't know who this guy is. He's a young guy, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, why should I care about him? Oh, this guy's our big heel, nasty heel is just tearing him up. Like, do you know who like a Cruel? Do you know who Cruel is?
No, this sounds familiar though.
He does like a lot of like deathmatch wrestling and stuff like that. He's like type of like this big monster guy, wears a mask and shit, like something like that. You know what I mean? Where it's just like, what is happening? But for some way you pull it out, and that's what's gonna get people, invested. Yeah. But like I said, it's just me talking shit.
No, you're good. But yeah, I can agree with that 100%. I actually just learned, for what you're saying, that's a good way to kind of get the name out there, I will say this, like, a big part of wrestling is selling and, like making things look good. And I'll bring up briefly a big pet peeve of mine in wrestling is kickouts. Kickouts are very important to me because every time you see me kick out, I'm kicking out with everything. Like I fist out, I'm kicking, like physically kicking out. But like I see some people like doing the little like,
or they don't even cover the shoulder when they're pinning.
Yeah, I mean that too. But like, I mean, I can understand like if it's like sometimes where it's like if it's like really deep into the match and like they just hit the finish or whatever, and then it's like 1, 2 at the very last second they just like right there. But like if they just like do it all the time, it's just like it's not a kick out.
It's I guess bad fundamentals or like sloppy fundamentals in some way, because if you're doing it all the time, then clearly you're not putting you're not thinking about that. And that's something that when you're thinking about small details like that, that's a big thing, because the little things are what matters. Little things what count. I know at the last show, someone was in the fans kept saying, hook the leg to a newer guy. And it's like, he might be having 9 million things going in his head. He's just like, oh, I covered him. But oh shit, I didn't hook the leg. But that's a primary thing of like, I need to hook his leg, you know what I mean? To make sure I'm securing this pin, and it's like little things like that. Obviously, when you're new, you're not thinking about things are happening so fast in there. It's going 9 million miles an hour, bless you, by the way. Bless you.
For sure. Thanks.
But yeah, it's like the little things when you're able to think about them and pay attention to those minor details. That's what's the fans are paying attention to those things too. So it's like you guys got to be on top of that, which you're doing your thing.
Yeah, and like I said, I have like no room to talk about it because I'm still kind of just getting up there. But like I said, that's just a personal pet peeve of mine. But yeah, I mean, hey, you do you. If you whatever you want to do, however you want to kick out, that's on you. But
yeah,
that's not how I'm going to kick out. That's not how I'm going to kick out. I'm kicking out with everything, baby. Unless they just beat.
There's like plenty of that, and like me, I'm in sales, so like people like to cut corners and do things. Yeah, I'll do it like this, and I'll get the sale. It's like, okay, like you said, you do you. I'm gonna do it the way I do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know how I'm gonna do it.
Right.
Are you familiar with Brutal Bob Evans?
Sounds familiar.
So he's been in like TNA. He's trained tons of people. I know he's doing seminars right now with like Kevin Kelly. And they're like touring around like different places. He puts up information all the time on his Facebook, his YouTube, whatever. After this, I will send it over to you. He just put up like a 12 or 15-minute thing about indie guys and how to basically do things behind the scenes to get where you want to be, so to say. And I just commented on there like pure gold. And that's what it is, golden nuggets that he's putting out all the time that I think someone like yourself would greatly benefit from. So I'll definitely send that over to you after this. And definitely tap into Brutal Bob Evans. He's like I said, just giving out pieces of gold for nothing. Not, what I mean? It's not, he ain't charging to get into his stuff. I mean, like I said, they're doing seminars and stuff, but like just the stuff he puts on the social media is you just take that and run with it. I seen also that as of today, as we're recording this, you are officially licensed for Virginia to take bookings.
Yes, sir. I'm licensed in. Hey, I can take bookings whenever. If I'm in Virginia, if I'm in Maryland, wherever, I'm always available for bookings. But yeah, I just got licensed for Virginia. I have yet to make my Virginia debut, so that's hopefully something I can get crossed off. I made my debut. Yep.
There we go. Get the booking information right here.
That's right. Ace.Christian 824 at gmail.com. Booking for inquiries, baby. But yeah, I wouldn't say better, but bigger companies that I have added on to that list. Like I've added on AXW this year. I've added on Voltage. Those are two big ones in my opinion. C3W, I don't know if you're familiar with them.
I think I've seen some of their stuff on Instagram.
They're not like the biggest thing around, but like as far as like live, but like they have a pretty big following on Facebook and Instagram. But yeah, I mean, I got more stuff coming. I'm ready to go. So
it's making moves, everybody. So if you want to book Ace Christian, definitely reach out to him. I'll bring it back. Let's bring it back up one more time in case you guys didn't get the Gmail. Go ahead and snag that Gmail, slide in there, get them booked for your show.
For sure.
What I'm going to do here, this is, I straight stole this from Chris Van Vliet. Shout out to Chris Van Vliet. I don't care. This is the 7 wrestlers theory, and this is how we're going to go ahead and end this for us today. I'm going to ask you 7 questions and just give me the first thing that comes to your head. Okay.
Okay.
The first one is going to be the one that made you fall in love with wrestling.
The wrestler that made me fall in love with wrestling? I mean, the easy answer is my dad.
Okay. But like on like television, what you were saying earlier, like was Miz that guy for you?
Yeah, Miz.
Okay.
Or Jeff Hardy.
Hardy.
Yeah, Miz or Jeff Hardy.
Can't go wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
Who's your newest favorite wrestler?
Newest favorite wrestler, Will Ospreay.
Okay. So I'm gonna pivot real quick. Take a little straight pause. Do you watch a lot of you watch WWE and AEW, or what do you watch today?
So I've always watched WWE.
Okay.
But I've actually been watching more of AEW, and I was used to this on AEW, and I've never really watched it. I've always watched clips. But like my first show that I actually sat down and watched was what was it? I think it was Revolution.
Okay.
Where it was like, I know it had Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher.
Yep. And the cage match.
Yes, that show. That was the first show I watched.
Really?
And I was like, holy shit. And it supposedly was like a really good show. And it was like, I guess I picked a good show to have as my first watch.
That's probably been the best one they've had in the past few months, I would say.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, ever since then, I've been, tuning in there. I've been trying to watch them pay-per-view shows. I'm probably going to watch Double or Nothing later this month. But, ever since I've been watching AEW, it's like I've always used to want to go to the WWE, but it's like AEW, it's like you kind of have more of that freedom there. And, that free style that you can do instead of like having, every little step.
It's more about the match quality there than it is more of the storyline, slow burn that WWE gives you. So like, I like it all. Trust me, I'm on TikTok. So like the tribalism, it gets crazy out there. I like to troll sometimes and, poking people's, sides a little bit about stuff because, you can get them going. But at the end of the day, like, I love wrestling. I love it all. So it's like, if you're a hater of one company, then that just means you don't want wrestling to be successful, in my opinion.
Right.
So
Okay.
I don't really understand that unless it's like you have like real bad blood. But, some people just hate on stuff just to hate on stuff. So
That's the one thing I don't like about wrestling nowadays. It's just
tribalism.
it's so political. And it's like,
Yeah.
just enjoy it.
Yeah, it's that's some of these people don't want to, and then you have the IWC that thinks they know what's going on, and social media has also disrupted a lot of that and made it crazy. Yeah. But so next one is the one that always makes you smile.
That's tough. Like, I mean, I don't really smile when I wrestle. I just
look at it this way: like, who do you resonate the most with, or who do you feel like you connect with the most, or is like not an embodiment of you, but like when they're out there and you see them, you're like, yeah, that's my guy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that's still Miz or if it's like,
nah, that ain't Miz no more. Unfortunately, he just doesn't have anything going for him.
Yeah.
I would probably say, it's tough. I'd probably say John Cena with what he's doing right now.
Just to see him, just to still see him out there, right?
Yeah. For sure.
Who's your comfort wrestler?
Comfort wrestler? I would probably, because I was going to say this guy before on the last one, but I knew this question was going to come up. I'm probably going to say Jey Uso.
Okay.
Just because of the story that he had, like, building up to where he's at right now, and the character that he has right now. That's kind of like what I play off of right now. Just heavy swagger. That's what it is.
Yeah. The one that you miss the most, and they don't have to be passed away, because of somebody at one of the other interviews, they're like, they gotta be passed away. I was like, nah, they don't have to be in the grave, but they can just be either not wrestling anymore or what have you, I guess.
This is going to be, might hit you with a curveball on this one.
Okay.
Tyson Kidd.
Okay, I like that one. I'm a big Tyson Kidd guy.
Yeah, I was big on him. Like, whenever it was around the time whenever this was actually like another like core memory is NXT Fatal 4-Way. I remember that match. It was very good, and it sucks that Tyson Kidd's career had to come to an end due to an injury. But if he was going, man, I mean, although his career, I don't know how old he is now, so I don't know if he would still be wrestling.
Probably, I would say probably in his mid 40s. I would say early 40s, mid 40s.
He would probably be about done.
But
unfortunately,
I don't know though. If you think about it, 40 and 50 is the new 30 from before. Like back in the day, when you were 30, 35 in wrestling, you were old as shit. Now you got guys 40 and 50. All our stars are 45, 50.
Yeah.
Punk, Cena, Edge, all these guys that are going, they're old.
Yeah, for sure.
Finn.
Yeah, he's older than I might realize. But yeah, I mean, dude was actually.
I love Tyson Kidd's work, especially with Harry Smith when they were tag champs, and with Cesaro when they were the best tag team ever. That was some good stuff. And like you said, unfortunately, got cut short. He got that muscle buster from Samoa Joe, and that jacked his neck up pretty bad. So, who's the one that you would protect with your whole life?
Now, there's two ways you can go about this. There's either like the one that like protect as in like, try not to kill the wrestler, or like basically what they're doing with Finn Balor, and they're just like, having him like take loss after loss, or
waste away.
Or like the other way you can go about it is like the freaky way, where it's like I've seen some people like answer with like a female wrestler. So I mean, I guess I'll just do both. The first one, I would say Finn. I would say Finn Balor. That dude is that dude should have won the world title last year, in my opinion. And the one I would actually protect my life with. Oh man. Oh God. I would probably say. Oh, that's tough. I'm gonna go ahead and say. Oh man, I'm gonna go ahead and say Stephanie Bucker.
Ooh, yeah,
Yeah,
she's one of the top ones right now that everybody seems to be clamoring about.
yeah.
I know
But
people.
but if not her, then Jada Parker. Jada Parker.
Hey, hey, this man's
Yeah.
got good taste, everybody. Ace Christian's
That's
got good
right.
taste,
That's
everybody.
right.
Good
Yeah.
taste. Listen to this man. He's got good taste. He knows what he's
Hey,
talking
I'm
about.
cooking. I'm cooking.
He's
I'm
definitely
blazing
cooking
up
right
on the
now.
blaze. I'm blazing on the
He's
blaze
blazing
bingo
at the
hall.
bingo hall right
Yeah.
now, baby.
That's right.
Yeah, those were great answers. Great answers.
Oh yeah.
Last question. The one that you are rooting for the most.
Finn Balor.
Okay. He's your guy, right?
Yeah, that's my guy. That's my guy.
Okay. Yeah, Finn's definitely, I think, one of those guys that like you said, they're just continue to give him loss after loss, and it's like, where are you going with him? Because there's
Right.
only so much time. This guy's almost 50 years old.
Right.
So, same thing with the rest of them that we were naming. It's like, I don't know where they go with them.
Right.
But obviously they know what they're doing, to some extent, way more than what I know what I'm doing, but I appreciate you stepping into the bingo hall and blazing it with your boy.
Yeah, for sure.
I hope you enjoyed yourself today.
Oh
I
yeah,
think that this is
it
going
was
to be
great.
great once it gets out there to the ether and to your fans that can kind of get a more in-depth look into you and to your personality and stuff that you're into. And yeah, man, I'm curious to see where you wind up, and I'll be continue to watch your journey. Like I said, me and my son are both big fans of you, and every show you're on that we can make it to, we're going to be there for you, bro. So, everybody who hasn't tapped in, look into where you can find Ace Christian. Where can they find you at, Ace? What platforms are you on? And this is also your handle, at least on Instagram, right?
Yeah. I was about to say, so you got Instagram right down there. You also got his Instagram right there. You already know that. But yeah, so that's my Instagram, and then I don't really use anything else, to be honest. But you can add me on Facebook, Kate Phillips. I really need to. I've been thinking about making a separate account on
Gotta
that.
get that Ace Christian profile popping.
Yeah, I did, but it was on it was just like a page, and I didn't really like it, to be honest. So I was just like, I'm just posting on my personal thing anyway. But it is what it is. But yeah,
And DBW on YouTube, check that out as well.
Yeah, for sure. DBW, look up BTW, all the good stuff. That's where it all started. But yeah, that's pretty much where you can find me. And I don't even remember my X account, but I'm not worried about that because I don't.
Yeah, I don't get on there either. Yeah, I don't do X either.
Yeah, it's just Instagram and Facebook. So.
Yeah, well, appreciate you guys for checking out this episode. This was Ace the Blaze Christian and your boy Younglurch. See you next time on Blaze the Bingo Hall.